we got the iPhone 14 Plus. The iPhone 14 Plus is Apple's cheapest large screen iPhone that can be bought brand new in 2024. This phone is a 128GB blue model that I bought used on eBay with no warranty whatsoever. I bought it for about $450 after tax. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a review about this phone in 2024, going into 2025, and whether or not it's a good buy. So this phone is my secondary phone. My previous secondary phone was a red iPhone 12 mini. I'm only saying that because that's what I upgraded to, not because I think that upgrade was necessary or that everyone should do the same. Here's the size difference without the cases on, and here's a side view just for reference. And funny enough, the 14 Plus replaced the mini category of the 12s and 13s for at least the next 3 years. But this isn't a 12 mini versus 14 Plus review. This is solely a 14 Plus review, so we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. But before we get too far, let's compare it to the size of the regular iPhone 14. This is an iPhone 13, but the 14 is the exact same size. And from the angle that you guys see, it isn't really too much of a difference. From the camera, there's not too big of a size difference. However, you should go into a store and check it for yourself, as the size you pick will matter. And these are both also being sold brand new, and there's a $100 price difference between the two. $599 for the regular 14 and $699 for the 14 Plus. And here's another fun size comparison. The XS Max / 11 Pro Max versus the 14 Plus. And while it may not be immediately obvious, there is a 0.2 inch display size difference between the two, with the XS Max having a 6.5 inch display and the 14 Plus having a 6.7 inch display. They're both on full brightness right now, and you can see the display different size right here. With the bottom of the screens trying to be matched up as closely as possible, it becomes a little more apparent the more you hold it together. And this also shows off the notches between the two, with the one on the left being the original notch and the one on the right being the smaller notch of 2021. But enough of the XS Max, we have one more phone to compare this to. And mind the camera change because the 16 Pro Max has been filming the most of the video. The 14 Plus versus the 16 Pro Max. It really doesn't look a whole lot difference in size on camera, and it's not really that obvious even when you hold it, but I will show the screens in just a second. And likewise with the XS Max, there's a 0.2 inch display size difference, with this having a 6.7 inch display and this having a 6.9 inch display. This also has the opportunity to show off how thin the bezels are on the 16 Pro Max, which I previously made a video on, versus the bezels of the 14 Plus, both of which are perfectly fine. And this also has the chance to show off the notch and the dynamic island. In the video, you can't really see a whole lot of difference, and you can't even really feel a whole lot of difference in your hand as they're both pretty close to each other. Now enough of the comparisons, and let's get back to the 16 Pro Max for the camera. Let's get to the 14 Plus for the design. The iPhone 14 Plus has a smooth glass back with frosted glass around the camera lenses and aluminum sides and a glass front display with ceramic sealed. Now let's dive into the design. With a nice back, the not very intimidating cameras compared to the 16 Pro Max. Now let's flip it upside down. With the antennas, the speakers, lightning to the right, more antennas, a little bit of damage because this is used. The 5G antenna, power button, another antenna, more antennas, the ring silent switch, the volume buttons, and just a few more antennas, and no SIM slot because this is the US model, and obviously the display. Now let's talk about the cameras. This is a 12 megapixel main camera, and that's a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. And the camera app is a lot simpler than most other iPhones, with only 0.5 and 1x. The 0.5 camera is just okay. It's good at capturing more of a scene and capturing fun pictures with your friends, and the 1x camera being good for most other pictures. There is 5x digital zoom on this, which isn't that good, but you can get a little closer to your shot without actually moving. And to adjust any of your camera settings, you just swipe up from the bottom on here to easily access them all. Because I don't have a whole lot in the name of examples for pictures of this phone, let's dive into the chip. The processor in this phone is powered by the Apple A15 Bionic. It is the chip pulled from the iPhone 13 Pro, not the regular 13, with an extra GPU core. It runs well at whatever I throw at it and will run well for many years to come. It also has 6GB of RAM, and like in my 16 Pro Max video, is what I recommend as the minimum RAM you should have in your phone this day and age. And like my 16 Pro Max, I like to play a lot of Infinite Flight on here, and it also works well on the highest settings. And let's talk about the battery a little bit. The battery health on my phone in particular is at 87%, which is the same as I got it just about a month ago. And when I made this phone for the day, just about a month ago, it had extremely similar results to my 16 Pro Max in the battery field, and it has all the same apps and settings as my 16 Pro Max does. This phone never fails to give me good battery life, and it had the best battery life of any iPhone when it came out back in 2022. Let's touch up a little bit about the display. The display on this phone is 6.7 inches, 60 hertz OLED panel. It's not too special, it's just like any normal iPhone display. And although people will hate on this phone, the 15 and the 16, for not having 120 hertz yet on the base models, I think it looks perfectly fine. Looks perfectly smooth, just like any iPhone should be. And like I've shown a couple times already, it has the smaller notch carried from the iPhone 13 of 2021, which leaves plenty of time for your important controls and information. And one thing I should mention before we get too far is that this phone lacks any features of Apple Intelligence, along with its counterpart of the iPhone 14 Pro. It isn't until the 15 Pro that Apple Intelligence is compatible, with the base model literally being the 15 Pro and the rest of the 16s. And now it's down to the time where you as the viewer have to make a decision whether you want to buy this phone or upgrade to any other phone. This phone cost me about $450, and I got a very good deal on it on eBay, with it being just a little bit beat up, but the screen being in excellent condition. It brand new from Apple is $700, and I personally think you should not be paying that price. I think you should either get a used 14 Plus or you should look elsewhere for another phone. I personally think that instead of getting the 14 Plus brand new, you should just get the 15 Plus for $100 more, as it has the dynamic island, USB-C, a faster chip, and a little bit more. And don't get me wrong, this is a great phone, but I think that if you have the extra money, you should just spend a little bit more and get a better phone. Like for reference, the regular iPhone 15 is the exact same price brand new from Apple as this 14 Plus is, and it has the dynamic island and USB-C, even though it's just a little bit smaller. And that's all I have for today's video. Leave your opinions down in the comments about the 14 Plus. Thank you for watching. I hope you had a happy holidays and peace.